Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays, wherever you may be around the country or around the world. I will be with you tomorrow, and then I am off on the road with my kids for Atlanta Braves baseball trip. So I'll be back with you next week. All that on the horizon. We got Green Dildo Gate. We have got ESPN potentially buying the NFL Network. What does it represent? Sydney Sweeney is a Butterface, according to a woke, chubby butter aficionado, it would appear to me, a left-winger. We got Derek Dooley announcing that he's going to run in the Georgia Senate race in the Republican side. And I've got takes on the Washington Redskins as it pertains to the NFL Network and also potentially building a new stadium. But I want to say right off the top, if you go buy on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com or anywhere else a pre-ordered copy of my new book, Balls, which is about how Trump, young men, and sports fans saved America in 2024. I think you're really going to like it. This is the cover. This is 100% the cover. I will donate $10 to the eventual legal defense fund for every book that is purchased between now and this week to a man named Delbert Carver, who has been arrested in the state of Georgia, according to ESPN.com, for allegedly throwing a green dildo during the Atlanta Dream Golden State Valkyries. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Game last week in Atlanta. Carver, who ESPN says is 23 years old, faces disorderly conduct, public indecency/indecent exposure, and criminal trespass charges. He was booked into a Clayton County jail and released late Sunday on bond. Now, team, let me know, I do not believe Delbert Carver has made a public statement about his arrest yet. I don't think we've hardly heard anything from Delbert Carver at all. I am telling you this right now, Delbert. I am licensed in Tennessee. I am licensed in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I am willing to put together the greatest legal defense team since the O.J. Simpson trial to get you off. You need DNA evidence? I got you. You need incredible laboratory technique to help prove your innocence? I got you. You want to argue First Amendment? Because, by the way, we've had fans throwing things on courts to celebrate or ice, whether it's the catfish in Nashville, whether it's the octopus in Detroit, whether it's all the different hats for hat tricks. People have been throwing objects on the court for a very long time. And so I've got your back, Delbert. Delbert, the alleged dildo thrower, I'm not letting you get thrown to the proverbial wolves. I will keep you out of jail. I will keep you out of prison by putting together the greatest legal defense team we've ever seen. The world may have never seen a legal defense team this good. I got you. All right? So, Delbert. Now, Adam, I'm going to need you to send me this message because the screen is too far away, so I can't read it. The WNBA has evidently also issued a statement about this. I will point out that somehow we have managed to find the green dildo thrower faster than we've been able to figure out who leaked the Supreme Court opinion from Dobbs, who was the alleged pipe bomber on January 6th. There are tons of actually serious crimes that are still outstanding that we have not been able to arrest anyone for. And so this is ongoing. This is a statement. You can pull it up. Fox News obtained this statement. The safety and well-being of everyone in our arenas is a top priority for our league. Objects of any kind thrown onto the court or in the seating area can pose a safety risk for players, game officials, and fans. In line with WNBA arena security standards, any fan who intentionally throws an object onto the court will be immediately ejected, and face a minimum 1-year ban in addition to being subject to arrest and prosecution by local authorities. I don't have any problem with the ban. I don't have any problem with the ejection. I think charging someone with 3 different criminal counts for throwing a green dildo on the court, to me, is a bit of an excessive use of governmental power and authority. And so, again, Delbert Carver, I'm going to continue to follow this like the trial of the century. You can reach out to me. You can slide into my DMs. They are open. For those of you out there that are big defenders of Delbert Carver, dildo thrower, alleged extraordinaire, you can buy my book in advance out 3 months from today, and I will donate to his legal defense fund. I have to tell you, on Twitter, your comments are unbelievable. The amount of humor, I a lot of times don't read comments. I don't read mentions because I'm busy chasing other things on a day-to-day basis. These have been so funny that I've been going through and liking them like crazy to encourage you. So hat tip to all of you. I would also say, in all seriousness, the WNBA is making this a bigger story than it would be if they ignored it. When you arrest a guy and prosecute him for criminal offenses for throwing a green dildo on the court, I think you actually make it a bigger story, make him a bigger hero, and I would suggest maybe even encourage more green dildo throwing. We'll have to stay tuned to find out. And I did see this. Some people out there not always happy with me. I know this is going to stun you. I definitely am, I think humbly, the most likable person in the history of the internet. But not everybody agrees. Not everybody out there is like, you know what? I love you more than anybody in the history of the internet, Clay. And so I bring that up because there is Marv. Marv hopped in the mentions and he said, hopefully you get arrested for encouraging it. You are a trash human being. And I felt compelled to respond to Marv. Marv, by the way, got 2 likes on his commentary. And I said, look, getting arrested for encouraging dildo throwing at WNBA games, what charge could you even charge me with? Conspiracy to encourage dildo throwing from a different state would probably be the best thing that could possibly happen to me. Can you imagine if you opened Twitter and you saw me on a perp walk because I had been arrested for my public comments about dildo throwing at WNBA games? Can you imagine what your reaction would be? It would be the #1 trending subject in America, and it would probably be the greatest thing that ever happened to me in the history of my career. I am 46 years old. I have never been arrested in my entire life. I don't think I've ever even sat in the back seat of a car. Maybe I did a ride around, but I think I was in the front. I don't even think I've ever been in the back seat of a police vehicle. If I got arrested for conspiracy to encourage dildo throwing, it would be the greatest thing that could ever happen to my career. So, Marv, I'm sorry that that would offend you, but I did say if I did get arrested, it would be phenomenal for me. On the other hand, Marv would remain a huge pussy no matter what happened to me. So, Delbert Carver, I'm your guy. The dildo throwers of America. If there is a grand green dildo conspiracy, I'm happy to interview you. You can break your silence with me. You can tell the world your story. If we need to, give you a blackout face, you know how they do on the 60 Minutes interviews where they blot out the face so you can't see it. If we need to disguise the language, the voice, like you're calling from the Scream phone, in order to avoid your being captured, I am willing to tell the public your story. You are a cage bird. I will let you sing and tell us why you are telling the story of the green dildo. And so that is my open invite to the Green Dildo Society of America to the extent that it exists. And I have got your back, Delbert, but not that way. And I will tell your story and protect you with the greatest legal team of all time in the wake of your alleged address, according to Atlanta. All right, this is funny, too. Buck sent me this during the show just a few minutes ago, and I said, this can't be true. This cannot be real. I think they just added this. I saw it flit across the screen out of the corner of my eye. Do we have the screenshot of the chick who called Sydney Sweeney a butterface? There is a woke writer. The Daily Mail, to their credit, did a story about this. A woman named Rachel Beitkofer has said that Sydney Sweeney is a butterface. Again, this woman's name is Rachel Beitkofer, and I would suggest that Rachel has not laid off on biting any food in the last 30 years of her life, because while she might think that Sydney Sweeney is a butterface, she has spent most of her life filling her face with butter. Do we have this image? I think we're going to have it shortly. The Sydney Sweeney story continues to just never end. Yesterday, there was a video of people calling her racist. It has continued to accelerate. Donald Trump has weighed in. J.D. Vance has weighed in. And I think you're about to see Rachel Beitkofer as this photo is added to the mix. And you are going to look at this and you are going to say, why? There you go. The girl on the left, and girl is doing a lot of work there. The girl on the left has decided that the girl on the right is a butterface. If that were true, Rachel Beitkofer would definitely eat it because she eats everything. So I hope Sydney Sweeney's not a butterface, because Rachel would be all over your face, because based on the quadruple chin picture over there, she is not turning down very many meals. This also raises a question. Has any attractive woman complained about the Sydney Sweeney ad? I've only seen fat chicks and woke chicks, a lot of overlap there, Venn diagram style, complaining about the Sydney Sweeney ad. I don't get it. I'm incredibly good looking, as all of you can tell. As an incredibly good looking person, I don't feel bad when other incredibly good looking people get to do modeling. It's only really fat, ugly people. You know, I just look at this and I say, on some level, the political party, and by the way, that's going to get clipped. I do not think I'm incredibly good looking. Not any longer. Maybe never. But I do think, so quote me accurately, my sarcasm font doesn't always translate. I do think that much of how people make decisions about what political party they're in, I mean casuals, people who don't really dive into economic policy or don't really sit around and think about much about the border, or, hey, what policies limit crime, or, hey, what do I think about immigration policy? Like all these things, right? They're very complicated, and most people, I think it's 90% of Americans, don't have a coherent political philosophy. That means 90% of people believe some things that are considered right-wing, some things that are considered left-wing. They're just not obsessing over politics. I do think people, though, look around and think to themselves, do I really want to roll with this group? And I would submit, if you're going out publicly and the group you're rolling with looks like a pot of whales, and they're really unattractive chicks, a lot of women look around and they're like, yeah, I don't want to hang out with Shamu. Like, I don't really know what I think about the policy of homeschooling. But if Shamu's for it, I'm against it. And there's definitely a lot of dudes out there. Can we put up the chick again? Who look around and say, yeah, I mean, I love Sydney Sweeney. I don't care about the jeans ads. But I don't want to be with the fat chick who's calling other people Butterface. And so I do think that there is a cultural association that is going on where one party, and it's the Republican Party, likes to have fun, likes pretty girls, likes boobs, likes football, thinks that it's better to go to the gym and bench press as much as you can as opposed to being fat like the Rachel chick here. And then there's another party that's just constantly hectoring you and looks like Shamu. And I just definitely, no offense to Shamu, lovely killer whale, probably not even very fat. In grand scheme of things, calling someone Shamu, probably very unfair to me. So let me apologize to the killer whale community right now, because I bet your body fat is actually lower than the woke fat chick here. And so I don't want to disparage or malign or unfairly characterize a killer whale as being Shamu. It is a cultural decision. And you are alienating normal people who like basic normal things, football, pretty girls, beer. And I do think there is an element of Sydney Sweeney, the story here, which is, if you want me to kind of extrapolate on a larger scale about politics being downstream from culture, American Eagle's Sydney Sweeney ad is the direct opposite of the Bud Light ad that basically tanked Bud Light as a beer. And so, again, this is a Daily Mail photo. They're working up the photo so we can zoom in even better. Again, apologies to Shamu. Can we pull up the... Oh, this is like... I mean, this is the chick who called Sydney Sweeney a Butterface. This is the left-wing Democrat chick who was like, Sydney Sweeney is a Butterface. Again, I want to apologize to Shamu. I don't think Shamu is this fat. Is Shamu still alive from SeaWorld, or did Shamu die? Even dead, Shamu is better looking than this chick. So I want to apologize to all the killer whales out there, both living, dead, past, present. This is, I think, how the Democrat Party has lit itself on fire. They have a clueless, completely illogical party that's arguing, hey, men should be able to be women. We should celebrate, what was it, Dylan Mulvaney putting on a sports bra and pretending to be a chick even though he has a penis. And, oh my goodness, Bud Light, so inclusive of you. And every man was like, yeah, I'll just drink another beer. Sydney Sweeney is the opposite. And I think women have been taken advantage of in general because they tend to be nicer and more welcoming as a group of men pretending to be women than men are of women pretending to be men. Like, there's no woman pretending to be a man who has been named Man of the Year because no man would stand for it. This Shamu-like figure here would be saying, hey, chicks with dicks are a good thing. You're a pussy if you don't think chicks with dicks are a thing. Sydney Sweeney is awful. But I'm the alpha female desirable party here. Butterface indeed. That's a chick who's never seen a butter that she said no to. That's all I'll say. Oh, no. Oh, now they're really, again, I would hate for this to become a thing, but I want to publicly apologize to Shamu the killer whale, because early in today's show, I referred to this fat chick as Shamu, and I actually think we have a side-by-side comparison right now. If you did a body fat analysis, I actually think Shamu has a far lower BMI than this woke Democrat writer does. So I do not want to be unkind. That is not in my spirit. That is not in my essence. That is not in my core value. So deeply, sincerely, honestly, from the bottom of my heart to the killer whale community out there, I'm sorry for comparing you to, what's this chick's name? Rachel Bite Saucer or whatever her name was. That's on me. I apologize to the killer whale community. When I take my trip to the Arctic and I'm going through to check and see how rapidly the seas are melting, I do not want the killer whale pods to come after me. When I go up to Alaska, when I go out to Seattle, I don't want them coming after me because the killer whales, this is true, have been shown recently to be in pod form attacking different vehicles, different vessels that are out on the open sea, and I do not want them to come after me. Adam tells me that Shamu was 1,984 pounds. Still lower body fat than this Rachel chick. You know, Shamu wore it well. Some people are, got a little bit of extra cushion, but you see it and they wear it well. I do not think that it is fair for Bite Kofer. Imagine being really fat and your last name is Bite. Well, wouldn't that alone make you eat less? Because it's such an easy point of attack. If I were super fat and my name was Clay Bites a Lot, I think I would eat less. Wouldn't you? Because you would be like, oh, here I am biting a lot. I'm eating too much again. I would think that having a name, being fat, and having a name that suggests that you do something that aids in your fatness would actually not allow you to be super fat. That's why Shamu's in good shape. Sorry for Rachel Bite Kofer. Again, apologies to the killer whale community. All right, what else have we got out here? Sydney Sweeney is the anti-Bud Light. I think that is good. Derek Dooley has announced for the Georgia Senate. It's a big deal. Right now, the Senate is divided 53-47. And with the Senate divided 53-47, we got a major battle that is going to happen in North Carolina over Tom Tillis, Republican senator who has resigned. It's going to be Michael Whatley going up against the Roy Cooper, the former Democrat governor of North Carolina. It's probably the number one Senate battle, probably the number one chance that Democrats have to flip back a Republican Senate seat. I want to play a cut for you here. Derek Dooley, former University of Tennessee football coach, former Louisiana Tech coach, former Alabama assistant coach, former Dallas Cowboy assistant coach, former, I think, New York Giants assistant coach. He's had a long coaching career. The son of legendary Georgia Bulldog coach Vince Dooley, born and raised in Georgia. Derek Dooley, graduate, I believe, of the University of Georgia Law School, is now going back to Georgia, and he has announced that he is running for Senate against Jon Ossoff in one of the best potential pickup opportunities for a Democrat senator to get beaten by a Republican senator. Let's watch.
The only thing that matters to me is the people of Georgia are proud with who's representing them in Washington, D.C. President Trump campaigned on things, and he's turning them into results. I haven't known a president in my lifetime who's been able to achieve these kind of results. That's what the people want. They want somebody who's going to mean what they say what they mean, and then go deliver results. I spent 3 decades in coaching, probably doing the exact opposite what a lot of D.C. politicians were doing. I sat in kitchens and living rooms with people from all walks of life. The only thing that mattered was trying to create hope and opportunity for them and that family. That's leadership. It's how you represent people. You're there to serve. We need good old-fashioned Georgia common sense. Georgians know biological men shouldn't be playing in women's sports, that hardworking people should keep more of their money and government should spend less of it, that opening our border makes us less safe. Professional politicians like Jon Ossoff are the problem. Lawlessness, open season on the border, inflation everywhere, woke stuff, that's what they represent. We need new leadership in Georgia. That's why I'm running for Senate. I'm Derek Dooley. I'm going to work with President Trump, fight for you, and always put Georgia first.
Okay, I like the ad. I like Derek Dooley. I have known him for a long time. Some of you listened to me back in the day. We would have Derek Dooley on weekly when I did my Nashville sports talk radio show. We've had Derek Dooley on OutKick quite a lot. Here is my analysis of the Georgia Senate race. Brian Kemp, current governor in Georgia, has done a phenomenal job. I think he has been a fantastic senator. He is saying Derek Dooley is my guy. And I'm going to put my entire network behind him, and we're going to vote to get him elected and do everything we can to beat Jon Ossoff, get him to be the Republican nominee for the Senate next year. This is next year's Senate race. I would defer to Governor Brian Kemp. He knows the state of Georgia better than anybody. He has smoked Stacey Abrams by 7.5 points in 2022. He handled COVID well. He is term limited out for running for governor again. He has, and his apparatus has won statewide offices again and again and again in Georgia. So if I had to pick one person whose back I would want to have for me in a race, I'd go Brian Kemp. Now, the Trump team has got to figure out, hey, do they sit out? Do they endorse somebody else? Do they endorse Derek Dooley? I think the best thing, given the fact that Brian Kemp has endorsed Dooley, is for the Trump team to also endorse Dooley. Get both Kemp and Dooley and Trump, all three of them, pulling in the same direction and go beat Ossoff, who is not a good representative for the state of Georgia. Now, I think that any Republican would be better than Ossoff. But remember, Georgia Republicans have lost 3 straight Senate races. Warnock won twice. Ossoff has won once. I think those all 3 should have been Republican wins. Republicans have won statewide otherwise, governor, lieutenant governor, all of the different races. Trump just won in 2024. He won comfortably in 2016. I think he should have won in 2020 if they had had full ballot security measures in place. That's my personal opinion. Came down to 10,000 votes or whatever else. I don't think it's coincidental that Trump won and that Governor Brian Kemp, everybody basically that he's endorsed and campaigned with, has won. So my suggestion here would be North Carolina is going to be a battle. We're going to have a battle in Michigan. There are going to be a lot of different states where there are fistfights. New Hampshire. And the candidate quality is going to matter a great deal. The right candidate beats Ossoff, I think, in Georgia, with Brian Kemp and Donald Trump's support behind them. I hope that can end up happening. We'll see. Okay. This is a big story in media. The NFL Network is reportedly going to be sold to Disney/ESPN. And I expect, this is a prediction, tomorrow ESPN, Disney, which owns ESPN, is announcing its earnings. And I would suspect that tomorrow you're going to hear some sort of announcement about this. This then becomes significant because I got 2 different angles on this. One, the Trump administration would have to be involved in Disney being allowed to buy the NFL assets under the ESPN brand by and large. So they would have to, through the FCC and everything else, they would have to sign off on this merger. And I'll come back to that as it pertains to the Redskins in a moment. So put that on the side. Let me address the business side here. ESPN is about to launch their direct-to-subscriber offering. And when they launch that direct-to-subscriber offering, they are going to desperately have to have the NFL. They just walked away from Major League Baseball. They are basically walking away from much of the UFC. They have lost, I think it's F1. Basically, ESPN, this is what I predict, is down to 3 major assets. The NFL, which they have to have. The SEC, which they absolutely have to have. And the NBA, which I think they have overpaid for. Basically, ESPN's entire business now is putting on NFL, SEC, and NBA games. Otherwise, they have almost no assets of any substantial nature anymore. So this is about protecting themselves from the NFL saying, see ya, ESPN. We're taking Monday Night Football and we're selling it to Amazon, or we're selling it to Netflix, or we're selling it to Apple, some bigger tech company that has a much bigger streaming footprint. So I think this is the equivalent of ESPN saying, basically, our business doesn't exist without the NFL. And I think what you've seen them doing is narrowing their focus to the NFL, NBA, SEC. I think that's basically the entire ESPN branding goals. Now, I think they wildly overpaid for the NBA. You guys know I think the NBA's impact and influence is on the wane in a substantial way. I think the SEC's impact and influence, basketball, football, baseball, is only increasing. That deal with the SEC network and everything else is up in about 8 years. So they're going to have to figure out what to do there. They could lose all the SEC. I think they are terrified that in 2029, when the NFL's television rights look-in option comes, that they could, I think it's 2030 for Monday Night Football, that they could basically wave goodbye to ESPN. And remember, ESPN's entire business is predicated on renting games from other sports leagues. They don't actually produce very much of value. Heck, they license McAfee's show. Stephen A. Smith could take his show to YouTube and make a bundle. He doesn't need them. If ESPN didn't have licensing rights, the business doesn't exist. And so I think this is a sign that they are desperate. Now, I don't blame the NFL for selling because cable satellite marketplace is collapsing. I think NFL owners want the money in their back pocket for the investment that they made in the NFL Network or RedZone. We can talk about whether there will be any impact in the way that those brands are covered, but I think it's primarily designed to roll it into the new ESPN app that they want to launch next month or this month. I think it's launching this month. We're now into August. Okay, with that in mind, I put up a tweet. Is this the tweet that I put up about maybe this is something different? I said that if I were Donald Trump, I would, as a NFL network being allowed to be acquired by ESPN and Disney, which has ripped Trump to the high heavens, I might argue, and with the Washington Redskins now needing to build a new stadium that's going to cost billions of dollars on federal land, if I were Trump, in addition to other things that he might ask for, I would say, hey, shake hands, deal privately, change the name from Commanders back to Redskins. And some people got so fired up, they're like, this is not what conservatives do. This is the way that they talk. This is not what conservatives do. What I would say is the low testosterone version of the Republican Party. I think this matters. And Trump understands symbolism and how much it matters. And the decision to change team names, whether it was the Cleveland Indians to the Cleveland Guardians or the Washington Redskins to the Washington Commanders, was a woke victory. And I think we have to rename and send a message, we're done with all of this. And I come to you as somebody that is eminently reasonable and rational. And I have argued on these shows for a long time, hey, this nickname fight, like, put me on one side of the table, put reasonable people on the other side of the table. Let's end this thing once and for all. It never ends. They're always going to find something new to be offended by. Kansas City Chiefs, Atlanta Braves, Florida State Seminoles, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. There's always some reason. North Carolina Tar Heels, LSU Tigers. Go look at where the nicknames came from. There's always a reason to historically complain about almost anything under the sun. And at some point in time, you have to decide, this is it. We are not changing anymore. And in fact, we're going back. This is what Trump has done with the military bases. He understands the impact of the symbolism. Okay, so on the, this is not what conservatives do. You guys have no clue how the world works. The federal government is involved. The federal government is providing land and probably hundreds of millions of dollars in added value to the Washington Commanders for them to be able to build a new football stadium. I said, I would have a walk of honor. They can put all Native American heroes intermixed with Washington Redskin football heroes. Heck, if you want to get Democrat support, you can even put legendary Native American icon Elizabeth Warren in her full headdress. Give her a statue too. Right as you walk into Washington Redskins Stadium. And I think that saying, hey, I want you to change the name back as part of the federal government's involvement in this deal is eminently reasonable. If the Washington football team wants to say, hey, we don't need any federal support or any federal assistance at all, okay, we'll not give you any assistance and not any support, and then you can step back. Just say, hey, my opinion is I would go Redskins, but they're asking for it. Also, when you have FCC review, you are asking for the government to say, hey, we're not going to stop this merger from taking place. ESPN has no viewpoint diversity by and large on the entire network. When they reviewed the Paramount merger, the CBS review, CBS had to say, hey, our goal is to provide content and viewpoint diversity so that we're not just a left-wing organization. ESPN didn't cover, by and large, the national anthem after the terror attacks. ESPN had a moment of silence to protest the so-called Don't Say Gay bill. Do any of you think that ESPN provides content diversity in the world of sports? I don't. So how would they not be more empowered when they get the NFL network? If your goal as CBS or NBC or ABC or any of these organizations is to encourage companies that have a public relationship to have viewpoint diversity, I don't think it's crazy to say if Disney wants to buy the NFL network, Disney, which owns ABC, which owns ESPN, has to commit to viewpoint diversity and recommit to a rejection of DEI as a condition for the merger to take place. I think that's eminently reasonable. And I think that's a job that the federal government should undertake. And I think Trump could say to Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, hey, part of this having viewpoint diversity would be, let's bring back the Washington Redskins name. Let's actually employ a single person in all of ABC or ESPN that would actually argue in favor of bringing back the Washington Redskins name. Because otherwise, you're making a far left-wing sports media company far more powerful and far more left-wing by allowing them to buy the NFL network. I think viewpoint diversity under the prism of ABC News and under the prism of ESPN, which basically is intertwined completely with Disney's ownership of both companies, should be a reasonable aspect of condition for a multi-billion-dollar merger. That makes rational sense to me. Some people disagree. Guess what? You're wrong. All right, questions. Do we have questions to hit? I think we do. Adam, by the way, elite job doing our Shamu Photoshop live. Let's see here. I just need to make sure that I can track down where the questions are. I have found them. Okay. I need to see Kamala versus AOC in a debate. That is a fabulous idea. I said yesterday, I believe on the show, that I didn't think Kamala, maybe it was last week, that I didn't think Kamala was finished in Democrat politics because I just walked you through the process, right? I said, okay, let's break this down. Kamala, if she is running, is going to run as a minority candidate that is bringing diversity to the Democrat Party. Think about the people we know who are going to be running probably in 2028. Gavin Newsom, Mayor Pete, Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky, J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, probably others, but those are just a bunch. It's a lot of white guys and one white girl, okay? A lot of white dudes and one white woman, Gretchen Whitmer. who is the minority that has an audience that could have an impact in the Democrat primary 2028? Cory Booker is a crazy-eyed madman. He has no chance of ever being elected president. Frankly, I'm kind of embarrassed that New Jersey elected him senator. Who, other than AOC, would have the ability to be considered, right? Everybody else that Joe Biden considered as his black female running mate, Karen Bass is obliterated because of the LA fire. She's done an awful job. Ketanji Brown Jackson's on the Supreme Court. Maybe she could come off the Supreme Court. Val Demings basically has vanished. There isn't anyone else that you can point to and say, other than AOC, Jasmine Crockett could run, I guess, in Crazy Town persona. But I think AOC, if she ran, I don't think AOC wants to be the senator from New York. I think she'd run for president in 2028 and try to argue she's Bernie. And I think that could turn into a Kamala versus AOC battle. So that's where that came from. Don't rush summer. Football can wait. I love summer. Football can never wait. It is hot for basically the whole month of September when summer is still going on in most of the South. And frankly, even in October, for much of October, we still got summer going on. The reason why SEC football is so awesome and powerful from a tailgate perspective is because unlike much of the Big Ten, the weather's phenomenal for the most of the SEC football season. So you can tailgate. You don't have to walk around in big furry boots or some big George Costanza-style overweight jacket. So I'm not trying to rush summer, although my kids went back to school yesterday, and my sons are already engaged in sports team practice. So basically, summer is already over here. Dude, it stays hot until, by and large, in much of the South, mid to late October. Only in America can you bench press while contemplating the political implications of a green dildo. Did I do that? Yes. Look, I challenged Eric Swalwell to a bench press contest. I can do at least 10 right now, bench presses on 185 pounds. That puts me as super strong, like maybe the strongest 46-year-old dad of three working at Fox News at OutKick. In all seriousness, I think that would put me in I think it's fair, right? I'm not even trying to brag. I think I would be in the 99th percentile for strongest 46-year-old men in America. Is that a crazy? I mean, how many people, what percentage of men do you think can bench press their weight 10 times who are 46 years old? I think 1% is not a crazy take on that. And that would be me. And maybe even way rarer than 1%. So thank you. Yes, more green dildo talk to come as well. My life is a lie. Yesterday, do we have a picture of yesterday's backdrop disaster? Yesterday's backdrop disaster. This is a photo on a big screen. It used to be a real backdrop. So to be fair to Mike, if you've been watching this show for a long time, to my right, where I am pointing right now, there is a corner that has that picture. So it used to be that I sat at a table with that backdrop legitimately behind me. Now I sit in front of a big flat screen television. So we can change the backdrop easily where I am talking to you. So you shouldn't feel like your life is a complete lie. Yesterday, the backdrop went on the fritz, and so you could see the computer monitor behind me. This is a computer-generated image behind me, but it is a photo that is real of the corner of my office that is, 10 feet to the right over there. So I love all of you. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Go get great comments in. Click like and subscribe on the OutKick show here. And I will be back with all of you tomorrow.